Welcome back to the KingCast, presented by the King Economics Division of the Social Sciences Department. Great to have us with us again. I'm your host, Frank Roche. With me today is Griffin Joo. Griffin, how's it going, my man?
I'm good. I'm excited to be back for another great week.
Good. We're having a nice little run. It's our third episode together. You're doing well so far. I see you have a fascination with natural disasters, so we're going to do a little bit more
Yeah.
of that today. Poor Nepal got hit by an earthquake. Jack Zipper couldn't join us today. I suspect Jack didn't move his clocks appropriately. Griff, I'm glad you're able to manage that process. So great to see you. Griff, there's lots of stories out there. We don't have time for everything, of course. We had the Federal Reserve last Wednesday, left interest rates unchanged as expected, moved the dollar, moved stocks. We had some really severe pro-Palestinian protests in Washington, D.C. yesterday. And there was a large protest that seemed to be turning somewhat violent outside the White House. A lot of blood smeared on the West Gate, people climbing the White House fence, planting Palestinian flags. Hopefully the military and the Secret Service has the White House well protected. And of course, they also desecrated a bunch of statues in D.C. So the pro-Palestinian, anti-Israel riots continue across America in a surprising fashion. That's not going to be our topic of the week, though, or interest today. We have some other things to discuss. As I just mentioned, another horrible natural disaster occurred. We talked about the hurricane in Mexico last week. We have an earthquake in Nepal over the weekend. Griff, I think you said it was Friday night. Griff, what's happening in Nepal? How's things working out? How severe was the earthquake?
Yeah, so just this past Friday night, an earthquake measured with a magnitude of 5.6 struck the northwestern region of Nepal. Reports say multiple buildings were toppled and over 150 people have died, but that number is likely to rise as rescue efforts continue to pull survivors and bodies out of the rubble. The current death toll of 157 makes this earthquake the deadliest since 2015. The quake hit some 26 miles and tremors could be felt all the way to New Delhi, the capital of India. Thousands of people spent the entire night in the cold. Some were without homes and others were afraid of the damage aftershocks might cause. Nepal has an unfortunate history of earthquakes, the most infamous being in 2015, as I mentioned earlier. While in 2015, the quake killed over 9,000, the quake last Friday still has brought tragedy to many. Survivors describe that they're without food and have to use plastic sheets and old clothes to keep themselves warm. This is a continuously developing story, and hopefully the situation will improve soon.
Tough news for sure, Griff. Earthquakes are devastating events, especially in these relatively poor countries, but they just don't have the infrastructure, the architectural integrity of most of their structures. So lots of damage done. We'll see the death counts and the injury counts as we move along here. Griff, how's the Nepalese government managing this? What's going on with them?
Hana Singer Hamdi, the United Nations resident coordinator for Nepal, stated that humanitarian organizations were mobilizing relief support from other parts and regions of the country to help those affected. Obviously, the military as well has mobilized to help survivors, and the hospitals have been overwhelmed and helicopters are being used to airlift those injured to other districts.
Okay, so they're doing the best they can. I'm sure the United States in some way is helping out here, either sending money or equipment or personnel, as we always do to help other nations. So pretty severe story. I think there's also another similar story in Italy this past week, Griff. I don't know if you saw the headlines.
No, I actually
Say
didn't.
near Pompeii, hundreds and hundreds of earthquake a day going on there near a volcano that hasn't erupted since the 1500s. So some anxiety going on to Italy as well with respect to some natural disaster issues. All right, we send our best hopes and prayers to those people, obviously. All right, Griff, let's move on a little bit to my story of the week. I'm going to focus on local elections. It's off-year election time. Tuesday of this week is election time. For the off-year elections, we hold local elections around the country and, of course, right here in Stanford. Voters will be electing local district representatives, school boards, finance boards, and other boards. School board races remain a real focus of candidates and media over the past couple of years, and it'll be the case this Tuesday as well. Be sure all those eligible, be sure to get out there and vote. If you already haven't taken advantage of early voting, voting is a wonderful thing to do. Once you do it, it feels really good. Plus, it's your civic duty. So that means we are just 1 year away from national elections for the president, the U.S. House, a third of the Senate, governors and state legislators, and some state judges. Since the COVID election year, America's election process has changed somewhat, mostly related to early voting times and allowing for non-absentee mail-in voting. Early voting times have extended on average to 20 days across the country. 9 states, 7 Democrat led by Minnesota and 2 Republican led by South Dakota, allow for a good deal more days of early voting. 56 days for Minnesota, holy cow. 50 days for Pennsylvania, 46 days for South Dakota, 45 for Vermont, 45 for Virginia, 40 for Wyoming, 30 for Maine, 29 for Ohio, 28 for New Mexico. That's a lot of early voting days.
Yeah.
Many argue this is too much early voting, that elections should be decided on election day, not 50 days in advance. There's a lot that can happen in 50 days with candidates and issues and topics and national security, all kinds of things. But driven by the desire to increase voter turnout, early voting can be helpful. But too much too soon dilutes the political process. Increasing turnout is something we should all strive for, however. It's better probably to end early voting, extend actual voting times, like over multiple days. Some countries do this, some make them holidays, say a Saturday and a Sunday for voting, or a Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday for voting. To give people more time to manage their schedules. Obviously, lots of Americans are very busy, but higher turnout would be better for us. America doesn't rank high in voting integrity compared to other nations. According to some studies, we rank 75th in the world in voter integrity and 15th in the Americas. In fact, just last week, a story broke here in Connecticut related to fraud and ballot harvesting. Connecticut Superior Court Judge William Clark determined the allegations of possible malfeasance warrant throwing out the results of the September 12th primary, which incumbent Bridgeport Mayor Joe Gannon won by 251 votes out of 8,173 votes cast. Absentee ballots secured his margin of victory. He ran against John Gomes for the seat. The judge went on to say the volume of ballots so mishandled is such that it calls the result of the primary election into serious doubt and leaves the court unable to determine the legitimate result of the primary, Clark wrote in his ruling. He added that the videos are shocking to the court and should be shocking to all parties. The videos show people stuffing ballot boxes. Under Connecticut law, voters using a collection box must drop off their completed ballots themselves or designate a certain family member, police, election official, or caregiver to do it for them. Gomes' attorney says the video evidence, exhibits, and testimony prove election fraud on a scale not seen in Connecticut or anywhere else in the country in recent history. Not only does this record prove election tampering, it was caught on video, the lawyer said in a written brief to the judge. Mail-in voting is not absentee ballot voting. Absentee ballots must be requested by a registered voter and are used by the elderly, handicapped, military personnel stationed outside their home district, and those who know they will not be able to get to their polling station on election day. Mail-in ballots are automatically sent to every address regardless of eligibility to vote or if the person with the name on the ballot still lives at that address.
Mr. Roche, how can we improve voting integrity?
That's a big question, Griffin. Easy question to ask, but a tough question to answer. It takes much more time than we have today to give that a proper answer. But we can start with being sure states properly maintain voting registration records related to deaths and relocations and not allow a voter to vote in more than one state. We can be sure that computer voting systems are secure and accurate. We can ensure the end of ballot harvesting and end the COVID election year practice of distributing ballots by mail to all households without requests. That's a start of where we might begin, but that's a big topic. Anyway, the point is this: get out and vote. Voting matters. All right, Griff, those are our hot topics for today. Let's go ahead and jump into King Things, the segment I find most fun. Griff, you've been watching the King community for us. You get the newsletter every Friday. Tell us what's happening in our wonderful community.
Yeah, so last Thursday, the King faculty, as well as some students, hosted a primer on artificial intelligence, which is obviously growing in the country and worldwide. This primer hosted Tamar Gendler, Dean of the Faculty of Arts and Sciences and Professor of Philosophy, Psychology, and Cognitive Science at Yale University, where she, along with King staff, spoke on the impact and effects that artificial intelligence has on our education. In the upper school, the Model UN Club hosted a conference last Sunday where students from Rye Country Day and St. Luke's came together at King to discuss world issues. In the middle school, students in the play A Wrinkle in Time will be performing this Friday, where everyone is welcomed and encouraged to attend. Students in the middle school band also got to perform a few songs for their lower school companions last week. And while it looks like the lower school had a relatively quiet week, I heard that the Halloween parade was a great success last Tuesday. While I was not able to see it, I'm sure it was a great time.
Yeah, I heard some good things about that as well. All right, so I heard the UN event was very successful. I talked to Mr. G, who runs that club, and said it was a wonderful weekend, so that was really good. And of course, we had some fun at the upper school with the Halloween costumes. I thought a bunch of good costumes. Griff, did we pick a winner? Did we have a contest this year for costumes?
No, but I think there was like the Halloween door decoration.
We definitely had the door decorations, and as always, the art department just killed it. with decorating their doors. Did you see the three guys with the Pinky Blinders outfits, the hats and the vests?
No, I actually didn't.
That was pretty good. All right, Jack's not with us today, so we'll have a sports update. So we'll have Jack back next week and he'll update us with sports. Griff, I like this new segment. We have the lunch reviews. We premise this segment every time saying we're just trying to have fun. We love our Flick team led by Junior, the great chefs there, of course, Sue and her whole team, the wonderful people that serve us at the Hot Plate. As always, we have our deli bar, we have our pasta bar, we have our sandwich bar, and of course, we have the Hot Plate, and the Hot Plate is our focus. So last Monday, we had the pizza, buffalo chicken and cheese pizza, and we had the minestrone soup. That was not a bad day for me. I'll give it a 3 out of 5, Griff. I went for the minestrone soup, which is very good. Pizza, again, I'm a little snobby, so I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 for that. What'd you do on Monday?
Yeah, I'm not a big King pizza guy either, so I went for a panini. So I would say also 2 out of 5, probably.
That's your fallback on the paninis? Yeah. All right, Tuesday, we had the beef manicotti, cream of mushroom soup. Beef manicotti was very nice. I don't do a lot of creamy soup, so I'm not a fan of that particular soup, but I'll give the beef manicotti 3.5, 4 for the day.
I actually went back-to-back paninis. There was chicken, so I had a grilled chicken and cheese panini with some chipotle mayo. So I would give,
I love my grilled chicken on that sandwich bar. So good.
Yeah.
Wednesday we had the gnocchi, the potato pasta, and we had the asparagus and pea soup. The gnocchi was nice. I'm a fan of gnocchi. Nice marinara sauce. Not a fan of the green soups though, so I stayed away from the soup. Gnocchi was a 3.5 for me.
Yeah, I actually had the gnocchi, and I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah,
for school, I would give it a 4 out of 5. I thought
okay, nice. I like our marinara sauce, so that always helps. Thursday we had the revved up beef sloppy joes, and we had a chicken and barley soup. Love the chicken and barley soup, very much like our chicken and noodle. Soup's a 5. Not a sloppy joe guy, a little too messy to me. Some texture problems there for me. I believe I did the BLT hack on Thursday. And I had a little salad. So my lunch was nice, but I didn't rate the sloppy joe.
I had the sloppy joe. I thought it was pretty good. It was a little bit messy, but I think
that's a sloppy joe, buddy. It's in the name.
Yeah.
It's in the name.
I think taste-wise, it was solid. I would actually give this a 4 out of 5 as well.
Excellent. I love our buns, our hamburger buns and our hot dog buns. By the way, I'm dying for a hot dog lunch soon. And then Friday, my lunch of the week, I thought it was fantastic. The lemon pepper rotisserie chicken with the cream of tomato soup. That was a 5 for me. The chicken was beautiful. I got some very nice pieces, really hot. They served it with my favorite thing, a nice rice pilaf. So Friday was a great day for me. I went back for seconds a little later in lunch. Soup was great with a little bread. I'm going for a 5 on lunch on Friday.
Me as well. Honestly, the chicken, probably the best meal of the week. I think the lemon and pepper as well, just in general, is just really great meal. So I would give this a 5 out of 5 as well.
Yeah, I think that takes number 1 of the 5 days for sure. This week coming up, Griff, we have beef and tomato macaroni on Monday, some more pasta, sausage tortellini soup. I'm not sure I'm going to go for that soup. No school for you on Tuesday. Nice for you. Wednesday, we have the spicy beef chili nachos, butternut squash soup. Thursday, breakfast for lunch. Vegetable tortilla soup. How do you like breakfast for lunch, Griff?
I usually get it. I mean, I really like the home fries or the potatoes. Yeah. Those are always the best part. So.
Potatoes on breakfast day are a big hit. I'll be looking forward to those. And I like the little sausage patties.
Yeah, those aren't bad. I think they're pretty good too.
But I'm not an egg guy, so I'll have some potatoes and I'll have some sausage. And since it's a Thursday, I'll probably have a little salad and some pasta. And then Friday, looks like Friday 2 weeks in a row is going to be my number 1 go. The chicken sausage jambalaya with a chicken gumbo soup. I'm excited for it already. I know there's going to be rice served. I can't wait for Friday. How about you? You like that lunch?
I think I'll probably go panini at that.
Again? Okay. Oh, that chicken sausage, man. It's so good, Griff. All right, that's the fun part of our show. Let's get back to the serious part of our show. Again, economic data. People always ask me why the data. I keep telling you, if you want to follow the real economy, you have to follow the data. If you're an investor, trader, someone who looks to the future, you need to what's going on around you. Griff, we're going to do economic data for the week ending November 3rd, just you and me. Start us off on Friday. We had the mother of all data reports, the employment situation report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. What went on for us in the jobs world?
Yeah, so October non-farm payrolls were up 150K versus up 297K in September. The October unemployment rate, the U3, was 3.9% versus 3.8% in September. And the October unemployment rate, U6, which is the broadest measure of unemployment for us, was 7.2% versus 7% in September. Also, we had October average hourly earnings up 0.2% versus up 0.3% in September, which is in the year over year was 4.1%. October average weekly hours were sort of unchanged, but 34.3 versus 34.4 in September. And the October ISM non-manufacturing index was 51.8 versus 53.6 in September. And above 50 is expansionary for our economy.
So not a bad day of data. We have a weakening labor market. And that non-farm payroll data, Griff, is something I drilled down in the data over the weekend, and we still have the same problem. While the number is positive, and it's still a good number, most of the jobs are part-time jobs. We have the most workers in recent history with the most multiple part-time jobs, and full-time employment continues to fall. And then we had the average hourly earnings year over year up 4.1%. So a mixed message for the Fed. A little weaker labor market might keep them on hold, but still have inflationary pressures coming from earnings. On Thursday, as always, initial unemployment claims for the week ending October 28th, 217,000 versus 212,000 the prior week. Not bad. First meaningful tick up. I think the second highest numbers we've had since September. Also on Thursday, Q3 non-farm productivity up 4.7% versus up 3.6% in Q2. Great number. Output per worker, really good. Q3 unit labor costs down 0.8% versus up 3.2% in Q2. Also a nice direction, bad for workers, but good for business and good for inflation. And also on Thursday, September factory orders up 2.8% versus up 1% in August. Another good number. We see a little turn in the economy here in September and October. That might mean we're going to bounce off the lows here and move back to growth. We'll see. What happened on Wednesday, Griff?
Yeah, we had MBA mortgage applications for the week ending October 28th was down 2.1% versus down 1% in the prior week. The October ADP employment report was up 113,000 versus up 89,000 in September. September construction spending was up 0.4% versus up 1% in August. The October ISM manufacturing index was 46.7 versus 49 in September. Below 50 is contractionary. And the Federal Reserve interest rate decision left federal funds rate unchanged at 5.5%.
That was pretty much as expected, although the comments from the Fed Chair Powell after the decision during press conference were bullish. But once again, equities took it as an opportunity to take stocks higher, speculating the Fed is done raising rates and the next move is going to be a drop. I'm not so sure that, and the Fed didn't say that. Tuesday, we had Q3 employment cost index up 1.1% versus up 1% in Q2. Also at October, Chicago Purchasing Managers Index 44 versus 44.1 in September. Number below 50 is contractionary. And we also had October consumer confidence 102.6 versus 104.3 in September. So moving down a little bit, anything below 100 is contractionary. So we're still in a little mild mode of expansionary. Consumers are okay, but feeling less okay than they did some time ago. All right, Griff, let's look ahead to the week of November 6th. Why don't you run this whole thing down for us?
So this Monday, we have no data. Tuesday, we have the September international trade balance for goods and services. Wednesday, we have the MBA mortgage applications for the week ending November 4th. Thursday, initial unemployment claims for the week ending November 4th. And Friday, we have November Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index.
Okay, as always, the week after non-farm payroll is a very quiet week when it comes to data. Traders are on their own, have to rely on technical analysis and flows of money through the markets to make determinations. Not much data to help them move along. I think trade balance and unemployment claims will be the most focus for the week. All right, let's check on the financial markets, how they reacted last week to the data last week. We check on stocks, bonds, currencies, and commodities. Griff, start us off with stocks.
The S&P 500 opened the week at 4,158, had a high on Friday of 4,371, a low on Monday at the open of 4,158, and closed at 4,358, up 200 points for the week, or up 4.8%.
All right, in the bond market, benchmark 10-year Treasury bond opened the week at 4.87%, had a high Tuesday of 4.93%, a low on Friday of 4.49%, and a close of 4.58%, down 29 basis points on the week, all related to the Fed activity on Wednesday. But also, we're getting some more insight into the Treasury Secretary Yellen's managing of the yield curve, and it's not going as well as we might expect it. She missed an opportunity to fund us on the long end. She funded us on the short end, and that's impacting bond markets in a unique way. In the foreign exchange market, Griff, what do you have for us?
Yep. The US dollar index opened the week at 106.44, had a high on Wednesday of 107.06, a low on Friday of 104.95, and a close of 105.07, up 130 pips for the week.
Again, dollar weakness related to the Fed's decision that keeps rates unchanged. And when it comes to foreign exchange, everything is relative. Bank of England also left things unchanged. So relatively quiet, range-bound week in the foreign exchange market. And then lastly, we check on commodities. The Dow Jones Commodity Index opened the week at 999.74, had a high on Friday of 1,008.05, near recent highs, a low on Wednesday of 993.43, and a close of 1,291, up 3.1% on the week. Commodities are big right now for inflationary purposes. Think China, US, EVs. So I'm still standing with my call. Sell rallies in stocks, sell rallies in bonds, buy dips in commodities, and buy dips in the dollar. I'm not responsible for your trades, though. This is just my public thoughts on those things. All right, Griff, let's go ahead and close out the show. Why don't you run down our friendly reminders for us?
Do your reading, do your homework, come to class prepared. Always use your blinker when making turns or switching lanes. Stop signs mean stop. No texting while driving, and always try to buy American.
Griff, those friendly reminders on driving are for you young people not to kill yourself. Okay, so you're welcome. That's it for us. Join us again next week, and tell your friends and family to listen to the King Cast at kingschoolct.org, academics, upper school, clubs, and activities. And we're out of here.